I remember talking to like Philadelphia Eddie. I was like smoking a joint with Philadelphia Eddie up in his room. Like, hey, you gotta smoke a joint. I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna turn that down. So I'm like, and he started talking about death list. I feel like I learned like real man things from Philadelphia Eddie. He's like, every man's gotta have a death list. I'm like, what's a death list? And he says, well, it's when a fella, if you know you're gonna catch a case or you come down with like a terminal disease, there's a list of guys you gotta take out.
Ladies and gentlemen, these shows just keep getting better and better, and I'm so excited and over the moon about tonight's guest, who's my mentor's mentor, another legend. I mean, this dude has been accredited to being one of the first to even use large mags, let alone doing oversized pieces and carrying pieces across multiple bodies. I'm talking about a final piece of art that is put together only with 3 humans' backs standing to one another. Such an innovator, such a pioneer in this game, in this industry. It's what all the dudes you look up to today, it's who they looked up to and who they looked up to. You may know him as the villain from Ink Master, but ladies and gentlemen, tune in for the first time on this show. You're going to get to see a behind-the-scenes look of the heart and the mind of none other than the great Saint Marq. Let's go.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Tattoo Guardians podcast. I am elated today to have a special guest, one of my favorite people in the world, definitely my biggest influence in tattooing of all time. Mr. Saint Marq has joined us. We are also here with the usual suspects, Mr. Matt Clemmer and Hip. So everybody, welcome. I am ready to go.
Fuck yeah. Man, we got the man, the myth, the legend right here.
The Guardian.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I think when we started the podcast, like Mark was like definitely my top, like let's get Mark on for sure. So I'm fucking stoked.
I was totally thrilled as soon as I answered your text like immediately.
Yeah.
So that's how important you are.
Man, no shit, I guess so. Happy day.
And
so fucking good.
For our listeners, today is a bittersweet day because I turned 40 today, and it's been an amazing day. And what better way to have a cherry on top than to be interviewing the Saint Marq?
No shit.
I
Happy
appreciate
birthday.
you, my friend. Thank you.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Hey,
man.
I Megan tonight at the dinner gave me a picture of the note you wrote, and Yogi,
Awesome,
and
man.
Tevenal, and everybody at the convention over the weekend. So like,
Nice.
what a blessing,
Very cool.
man.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
so
let
Mark-
Mark know.
Go
I
ahead.
let Mark know a little bit just in the episodes leading up to us, and this organically happened that on the past episodes have almost been like a runway leading up to him because he's been brought up on so many shows.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of worked out actually. Yeah.
So no pressure whatsoever.
The thing is, the thing with Mark is, I moved across the country to work around him. So Mark was ridiculously early in pioneering modern tattooing. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get tired of hearing this, Mark, but you're really responsible for me tattooing. You really are. I don't know if you remember this, but I owned my own little shop in Arizona. Yeah. And you were at Nationals, and you stopped by to say hi, and and I had just never experienced the kind of you were doing work then that would be new now. You know what I mean? So it was like mind-blowingly like kind of like made you want to quit tattooing because there's like no fucking possible way you're ever going to be.
I remember that. I think I probably came into your shop probably flash jockeying. I was probably there selling flash. Yeah, for sure.
You came with your flash, and just as somebody who's always been on the artist side of this tattooing thing, Mark stood out from everybody else because Mark was that. Mark was just the fucking artist. I thought he was European when I first met him. You know what I mean? It was like, you're not American, So, like, I know our listeners are always hearing me say who I'm, influenced by and everything, but definitely Mark is by far the top. And, like I said, I moved. I was at a Nationals tattoo convention. I saw what I thought was Mark's work, a bunch of new work, and it turned out to be his brother. So I had no idea that Monty was tattooing at an incredible level as well. And at that point I was like, well, this is fucking stupid. Like, I just need to fucking move out there if if I'm ever going to learn anything, I need to just do this. So I asked Mark, and I said, would you ever consider me? And he was like, absolutely, So
It was
I
fate.
literally sight unseen packed up, bought a fucking house, moved out there.
Wow.
Regret nothing. You know what I mean?
That seems like a lifetime ago.
It really does, doesn't it? It seems like an absolute lifetime ago. But I learned an immense amount of things. One of the things that I learned that I wasn't expecting was you have this ridiculous aestheticness that you like your studios to look like. I'd never really seen anything like, Mark's studios always won the best studios at nationals, to the point that, I don't know if you remember, I think they changed the rules because you just kept winning shop of the year.
Maybe.
So
Maybe.
Well, because I remember your answer to that was, well, these are different shops. So you just
That's
kept
right.
winning, which it was, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So everybody had these tattoo shops that were just like cool, whatever, but Mark's looked like art galleries, you know what I mean? Like, so for Mark to mention having a shop with fire in it, I 100% believe it. It's
Oh yeah,
not
the
weird
new
at all
shop.
for
The new
Mark.
shop is fire. That's the theme.
Yeah.
Fire. Yeah, I think you mentioned it earlier. Baptized in fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
So with-
thank you for
with some of
reminding
that-
me of that. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah, right? So with some of that being said, Mark, like, what is it that drove you so early on to just stand so far out from everybody else? I've been lucky enough that we've worked a lot of shows together, and I get to see this, this giant wall of people around the booth to watch you work. And we can go into some of the stuff, like definitely the first to just use magnums and stuff like that. But what lit that fire in you that made you so hungry to do this?
Man, I think, obvious answers to that would be like, easily I could say a lot of that was like egocentric, totally driven by like my love of art and which translated into tattooing. And like, I think the way our shops look was a reflection on how much we love tattooing, or at least that's what I told myself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe I was overshooting at the time, but I mean, if you really love something, I mean, I've had this love affair with tattooing for so many years, and it's been rocky. But if you really love something, you stick in there and try harder. So, I mean, I own so many tattoo shops, and like a lot of guys that usually have a lot of questions about like the business side of things, and I usually have a lot of right answers. So it's because I've probably made every mistake there is to make.
Man.
So how many
that's what
shops
it
are we
is,
talking?
Yeah. At one time, I was for about a good decade, I was running about 15 of them
Jesus.
at once. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I
You
was
gotta
there,
love
there
it.
was,
You have to love it. Yeah.
I think when I was around, there was a good 12 at least, probably then. So
Yeah. We had a shop together. Yeah.
Mark and I owned a shop together, a really successful shop actually in Bloomington, Indiana. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
Because I
fucking
told
huge.
Mark, I was like, I really don't want to leave, but I just, I want to give you my notice. I'd like to open my own studio. And Mark's just like, let's do it together. And I was like, that's fucking perfect.
Don't leave.
But it was awesome,
Yeah.
and it kind of happened a little bit like the way that we talk about the source kind of providing things. Like Mark said, Bloomington's really the spot. We should look in Bloomington, which we fell in love with. I loved Bloomington, but it kind of just fell in our laps, didn't it, Mark?
It
like
did.
That shop was just kind of already built. We kind of went in to introduce ourselves and say, hey, we're going to open a shop here, and they basically called Mark and were like, why don't you just take this shop?
Yeah, that building, I believe it was turned out to be. Didn't Danny Fowler had run a shop?
Danny Fowler
out
had
of-
it originally, yeah.
Yeah, and I just contacted him and we worked a deal out. He was ready to be out of there. Yeah, it was too far away for him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of funny how that just it just happened. It was like I had told Mark, and then I went to visit some family in Arizona, and basically by the time I came home, I had a shop, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Jeez. That is.
Well, what
huge.
is this Tattoo Guardians all about? Why do I want to be a guardian?
Man,
I do.
Fucking, right. That's what
I think you've already been.
I'm saying. He's
for
the
multiple
OG.
decades.
Mark's the OG guardian, And we should really emulate a specific definition. But every time we're asked, so, I'll just spitball on some of the things of what we believe makes up and what a guardian is. If we just shared your attributes, it would be a tattoo guardian. But for myself, someone who's, Josh says it all the time, that we are standing on the shoulders of giants like yourself. And
I'm gonna blush.
for guys to come in to the industry. You know, I've been in the game 16 years now. So compared to others, I'm, you know, whatever, still newbie. But I honor and respect those men and women who have gone before us and have paved the way, whether it's fighting laws, figuring out the craft, inventing techniques, color theory, big mags, almost everything that you've contributed early on, let alone who you are for us all today. But someone who truly honors, respects the game, respects the hustle, respects the art, has integrity with this thing called tattooing, and love it, and give all we got to it, and really want to see one another grow and win too. These are just some of the things. If you've got a heart like that, we consider you a tattoo guardian.
I love all of that stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But I think you can take over the world without hurting anybody.
Fuck yeah.
I think it's possible.
Brother,
I think you can.
Hey, we're building the biggest building simply by just doing that, not by tearing others down.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
For real, man. But
it helps
Josh,
when you're winning.
Man, it does.
Sure
Hey,
it does,
the momentum, a little bit of momentum helps. It really does. And you know what? It's funny you say that, because even winning, I believe, is almost like a learned skill set. And you're the OG of teaching others to win. For example, we had your good friend and my mentor, Mr. Brian Brenner, sitting in this very chair just 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And so everything that Brian's taught me, he brought me into the game. Talk about a man that knows how to win, is setting out to win. But everything I've learned from him, he accredits so much of that from you.
Man, we are like brothers. Me and little Brian are definitely, we went to elementary school together.
Yeah,
so,
you guys are both from Northmont, right?
Yeah.
Check it, dude. I remember back in the 90s, I worked at the Salem Mall. And I worked at Mary Ground and TiVo.
Really?
Right the fuck next to you.
Oh, wow.
And him and Brenner were there airbrushing. These were the
This
coolest.
is the first time I've ever heard that story.
That's
crazy.
Yeah, these were the coolest motherfuckers in the Dayton Mall. And this was back in the 90s where everyone was getting their shit airbrushed, you know, Velvet DeVoe, hip hop, bib overalls. And these dudes were just fucking killing it on anything, shirts, whatever. And I was so in all these brothers, but also like real intimidated. And I worked at almost an all, you know, hip hop clothing store right next to
I shopped
him.
at that store.
Huh?
I shopped at that store.
Fuck yeah. And so that's just it was crazy to me. Years later is when I met Brenner and was brought into the game. But just everything, Brenner was always a force to be reckoned with. But again, credits you. And so back to winning, you know.
Well, I love this show.
Yeah.
I love everything it's about so far. It's about me so far. I can't find anything wrong. I'm trying to pick it apart. I just can't find anything. It's perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Tune in for part 2. Hell yeah. Yeah,
no, also,
man.
I'll say the same thing. Like, you know, as far as the winning thing goes, like a lot of the things that I talk about, you know, one of the main things we talk about on this podcast, Mark, is winning. That, you know, is you know, having that attitude. And I didn't have that until I met you. You know what I mean? It was like, you know, I talked to Brian about how he was a risk taker and how I'd never seen anything like that. Well, like, you know, obviously that comes from you as well. You know, and like you would open these shops, you had these opportunities, and when everybody else was like, you're crazy, you're opening more shops, and they weren't like spread thin. Your next shop was better than the last shop. You know what I mean? It's like every location was a dream location. Mark also knew how to run a shop really well, where artists got paid really well. He had a certain way of motivating people. Basically, the more they worked, the more they won, the more they made. It wasn't this like locked in system of the same 50-50 percentage or anything like that, you know.
It's still like that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We really at our shop, we try to make it to where every guy that works there feels like, you know what? I'm like, I can make more money working here than I can open my own shop.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it only works that way. It's the
like
same
it.
way for me. Like,
Yes.
if I didn't have the guys surrounding me, pushing me, and
Yep.
all of us, like, you know, all working towards the same goal,
Yep.
you know, I'm not going to be successful either.
Right,
You know,
right,
and,
that's
and,
right.
and if I ever were to stray off that path, you know, like, you get smacked pretty quick. Like,
Yep.
when
Yeah,
like,
for
I'm on
sure.
the wrong path. You know,
Yeah.
and you got to like straighten yourself out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Matt always says if you want people to be successful, you got to set them up for success.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to like make it to the land called success and have none of my friends be there. I want everyone there.
Right. Yeah, man. That's
Yeah,
good.
you know, like, you know, this was like, we talk about the salad days, but this was like the heyday of tattooing. I mean, you know, Mark had won Tattooist of the Year at Nationals.
That used to really mean something. I love
It
that.
did.
That's still
It
like
really
that.
did.
Fuck
That still
yeah.
means something to me like today.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I wish
Yeah.
there was something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
I know.
That's sort of. I get that sort of.
I'd like to
that's a
implement
wish that
something at
won't happen.
Evergreen, kind of like bring that back to my convention somehow. You know what I mean?
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Because that
maybe
really
even
did
like a
mean something.
green jacket or something
Yeah.
that you would get
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
you were
for sure.
awesome.
We did something in
And we
Vegas
could
where we gave
recognize
away.
other awesomeness. Yeah, sorry.
We did something in Vegas where we gave away a fucking it was $10,000 and a wrestling belt. You know what I
That's
mean?
perfect. That's just
Right?
like
It was
that.
pretty fucking cool. But like, you know, we would tattoo all day long at whatever studio I was in, and then we'd hear, man, Mark's about to do this fucking badass tattoo, and Mark's notoriously late, so he's supposed to be starting at noon, and we'd start at midnight. But we'd tattoo all day long, and for the love of it, knowing how cool it'd be, I wouldn't go home. I'd go to the other shop, even if it was in Richmond. I don't give a fuck how far it was. I'm gonna go watch Mark tattoo.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we did that shit all the time. And that was where the best shit happened because, you know, Mark would just show up with just the Magnum. And that was unheard of at the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that I ended up getting kind of a little bit known for myself. I would have never even fucking attempted that if it wasn't Mark. You know, Mark's like, this is all I need.
Right.
In fact, I have some really old, well, I don't have them. I saw some really old photos of your work before that when you were doing it with the 14 round. Like way old. Yeah, because you know, I remember you telling me that you said, I said, what was this about? And you said, I was just fooling myself. I was fooling myself that you know what I mean? But when the Magnum hit, you know, you got to understand, you know, guys, before that, you know, no one was doing shit like that. And then, you know, we also have Mark has these grand ideas that he doesn't just talk about, he fucking follows through. Like, do you know a bunch of tattooers that have put together multiple back pieces? No. They talk about it. Mark did that shit forever ago.
Yeah.
Forever ago.
Yeah.
You know, like.
But I'd still say for every grandiose project that I ever like took on or just for some personal reason I couldn't let go of, there's probably 100 more that I'm still currently working on or trying to get to it. I think I've got a lot of fire started all over the place, and eventually I want all of them to come to completion. So.
Yeah.
Jeez, I love it, man.
One of the things that for me that really was different for me to see when I first went, because when I went to the studio was New Breed, which even the name New Breed, you know what I mean? I fucking love that.
Yeah.
But you know, Mark and Monty were doing this style of tattooing where they would like indicate stuff, you know, like you would get also everything was massive, right? So like you see this tattoo I did back in the day of Moses, and it's on this guy's leg and it's really big. You know, I jokingly made my stencil too big, and Mark's like, do it bigger. You know what I mean? And
That's not big enough.
Right, exactly. And that was the tattoo that exploded my career. That was my first national award. You know, we're talking a lot about nationals, but they would do this stuff though like a real artist. You know what I mean? Instead of outlining it, shading it, coloring it, you know, they would take their Magnum and like crosshatch kind of and block areas in. And if you weren't an artist, you might be like, what's happening? But then the next session, you fucking get it. You know what I mean? And it just
Isn't it strange how that
me.
is so commonplace now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
for
It just
sure.
wasn't. It was unheard of. But it clicked with me as somebody who came from it. My father was such a great artist. I was like, oh my God, you're just using the tattoo machine as a tool, but it's just art. And it just that's when everything clicked, and my career was birthed. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, I don't think until now. I mean, back then, I don't really think any of us felt like I really know what I'm doing. You know, I'm like, I'm just doing what feels right, and I haven't seen this, but this feels right.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we pushed each other for
which is
that
what
reason.
makes it that much better, you know, Matt, because it was either Josh or Matt or some fucking body in the last week or two was talking about like when you're the pioneer of something and you're out there doing it and learning as you're doing it, it's just that much more beautiful because there's no blueprint to it. You're making the blueprint
You're
as
the
you're
first
doing
one.
Yeah, it's not jaded. It's pure. It comes from a pure place,
Right.
And I think that's my best stuff is when I'm not looking. Maybe when I'm not even focused on exactly. I'm just creating. You're kind of you sort of touch that spot where your creativity comes from, and I see it in my children.
Wow.
You know, every day it's sort of a childlike thing where they get lost. I'm like, and usually I see it because when I get lost, that's when the good stuff happens. I think.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm thinking too much about like, well, what's going to sell or what's going to get likes or you know or a certain sponsor might like this tattoo, that's when everything just like goes to hell.
Yeah, right.
You know, I think when I don't give a shit, probably even when I'm not even being paid, is my best stuff sometimes.
Sure. Yeah. Wow, that's great. You know,
and I know that our listeners have been, you know, they've seen Mark's stuff in the magazines and TV and everything for years, but I was lucky enough to see this stuff daily in person. I can even think of your clients' names. Ron Roush, I remember him.
Yeah,
I don't remember the name, but I remember probably one of the best tattoos I've ever seen in my life to date. Still, the Toy Story leg sleeve.
Yeah, Todd Barsley. I just saw him. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Just the color saturation it was like he had stuff on his knee, didn't matter, it was on the knee, absolutely fucking solid color, and again oversized. And it got to the point to where I would watch a quote unquote regular tattooer put a regular size stencil on, and I'd be like, oh man, he's blowing it. He should be, 5 times as big. That rose should be fucking massive. Yeah. And I miss those days for sure. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fortunate that my clients travel in and I don't have the time to do stuff like that. But my true love, my heart will always be those oversized tattoos that just.
When's the last time you did a back piece? When's the last time you did? When's the last time you did one?
Yeah,
really?
Probably. Yeah. And I miss them so much.
How long? How long did you say?
I bet you it's been 15 years at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back pieces are like the guitar solos of the tattoo world.
Yeah.
A lot of the new bands can't do guitar solos.
That's right.
You gotta know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Man, this is coming from a dude that just got 2 clients and did one big piece over 2 humans' backs.
Yeah.
And when they stand together,
I was just looking at that before he came down here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to see this stuff in person. Mark's work has a way of like, I don't know, it's like it breathes on its own. You know what I mean? It's difficult to describe. You really have to see it in person to appreciate it. I have literally seen, I'm sure the listeners are like, Jesus fucking Christ, Josh, but this is how much this means to me. I have 100% witnessed people cry seeing Mark's work. The wall piece you did.
Yeah.
That is not.
I cry when I see that tattoo.
Man.
That tattoo fucking rocked the world.
Yeah. It's fucking.
I think also like. I was blessed to work around at that time too. A lot of young guys, and we sort of gravitated to each other. Certainly with Josh.
Jerry was there.
Look at his work. I mean, like that's got to drive you. I'm supposed to be the head honcho. You can't let the guys at the shop show you up. Right. I got guys like Jerry Frost and Josh Carlton and Little Brian all working in the same shop. Like that's pretty tall order to fix. You got to be really competitive. Yeah. I think even some of the 2 back pieces, 3 back pieces. That comes from a competitive place too.
I love it.
I will not be outdone.
Come on.
I don't want to be outdone. They're not going to take it away from me. All of a sudden I'm old now. You want to take it away from me? You too. Steady taking it away from me.
I think that's what it was. It was just this constant drive, this constant competition. We'd roll into the convention ready to fucking go. You know what I mean? And it was the days, man. It was cool.
It did feel like being a rock star. I remember going to shows, me and Little Brian. I think there was a couple of shows we'd have like a fan blowing. We looked like we're in like a Michael Jackson or like a Van Halen video, and we're tattooing. And
stand up tattooing.
Stand up tattooing, scantily clad chicks bringing us drinks. Like, well, that's where it's all about, I think. What did you start this for? What did you get into it for?
Man.
You can paint at your house.
Hey, that's right.
Right?
That's right. Oh, that's fucking huge, man. When you're talking,
I know, Mark, that you went out, and I apologize for interrupting, Rap.
No, go for it, brother. Go for it.
I was gonna say, Mark, I know you went out years ago and you got both sleeves by Philip Liu.
I did,
which is amazing.
Nice.
Who are some early influences besides Philip? Like,
definitely Philip Liu. I mean, I do not a lot of people really. I mean, if you work around me, I really like doing a lot of traditional Japanese style work, and I definitely emulate Philip Liu for sure. I mean, even though Philip Liu himself told me like when it comes to Japanese work, like if you're not copying, you're doing it wrong. But I mean, completely. He's like,
totally,
and eventually after copying that stuff correctly, because I mean, if you've only been tattooing a handful of a couple of decades, who are you to say that you have some new way of doing it that hundreds of years of artists are somehow doing it wrong? So you better just keep copying until you get it. Maybe
especially like finger waves and stuff.
For
like
sure,
fuck those up.
He's so effortless about it. Stefan Shodase, another really big one. I think combining those 2 guys together is kind of really. I even think growing up as a tattooer, me and Stefan. He's from France. I think from across the river, we sort of had this like unspoken competition with each other. Like I always felt this way. I felt like I would talk to him in my mind. Like I was trying to beat this guy who had inspired me, really. I mean, a lot of his early work was, no lines. He was just free painting when he was working. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, now that I've seen that that's possible, I know exactly where I'm going with this. I completely owe that to Stefan. He was really one of the first people I saw do that. So right away, going to the Nationals in you bring up like best tattooist at that time. I'd been to a nationals. I worked my ass off, for maybe a couple of years, putting my portfolio together so I could compete. I wanted to try to get noticed. I showed up and I had my portfolio. I had portraits. I had, leg pieces. I had, everything you could imagine so they could see how great that I was. And then Stefan showed up with 4 pictures. I think of the same tattoo, maybe. Just four pictures, but they were perfect and they whipped everyone's ass. Totally like kicked my dick in the dirt. I was like, wow, I have 20 pictures of the best shit and 4. So and he also showed up with like 20 back pieces from France. Yeah. So it kind of changed my trajectory because I was like, you know what, this kind of embarrassment is not going to happen to me again. It's not, I couldn't. I mean, maybe that's part of what getting there is like most of the fun. Mm-hmm. I think when you win, I maybe even when I am winning, I like kick myself back down to where like I'm not winning again. I have to like win again. Mm-hmm. I have to like let's see where else to go with it. But I came back that next year and actually they thought I was from France. So I kind of like served up Stefan some of his own medicine. And I think we sort of developed this friendship over the years. And I'd say. Did you go to that show in France, Josh?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I actually got to talk with him for a little bit, and like it was sort of the same thing he reiterated. Like even though we didn't speak, he was still like we were pushing each other from that far away. Like like that young guy has got my number, and he was like same thing. He was out to get me. So like,
and he talks about that. I was in France not terribly long ago, and he brings up pretty much the same story. Yeah, so I can definitely agree with that.
Yeah, he talked a lot. He'd gotten a hold of me after I did those 2 back pieces, and he was like, you know what? I was sort of in a sort of a stagnant place artistically, and I just maybe wasn't happy. And I saw this tattoo, and that you had done it, and he said it just stirred something up in him that sort of just like helped him get back on track. And I'm like, was it hatred? like that's a beautiful story, Stefan.
Yes, please tell me it's hatred. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Man, that's huge. That's so huge. And it's weird because this type of talk isn't for everyone's DNA. This type of talk causes some people to shut down, right? Sure. This fucking lights my fire, stirs me up. You know what I'm saying? And I love even competition. I love it. Or I love seeing another brother doing something that is just killing it. And it causes me to take a look at me and be like, man, why am I
who are
playing?
They talking trash about? That's who to follow.
Man,
Man, just after we talked about coming on the show, I just started like looking through some of the other stuff. You got lots of dudes talking trash about you all the time.
Steady.
Like it makes me like you even more. Like if they decide to boycott you, I'm going to be gravitating to you.
Fuck yeah!
I want to buy more of you.
Fuck yeah! Come on, man. That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah. Woo!
And it's good to hear to someone of your stature and that's been in the game so long, like the thoughts you have and like how you were talking about the hatred. Like I almost feel guilty sometimes when I like I don't know what I guess you would call it hate, like when you're planning on like winning and dominating and someone else takes it and it's just like, motherfucker, all right, I'm gonna come back even harder next time.
Like that guy is so good looking and talented, I just fucking hate him.
Right. And it's good to know that like your headspace was there at one point, because when that comes across on me, I almost feel like fucking guilty, or like it's going to ruin the art if I do that. But man,
I think it can be healthy. It can be totally healthy.
It can. And thank you for, sorry, Matt. Thank you for giving me permission to fucking let it be healthy. We were just talking about giving each other permission last night, man.
Yeah. And like we've said before, success is a shitty teacher.
Yeah.
It's when we take an L or someone else that causes us to reevaluate, causes us to step up.
Success can make you lazy too.
That's right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, with confidence, like Mark said, he's like, I never want to feel that way again. I think that's something I've heard Mark say that before. That's something that just resonated with me to today. When you do take an L, you're like, fuck that. I will be back, and I will not fucking feel the same way.
Yeah, man.
And with the way the industry is and has been going, at least since I've been around, the little bit that I've been around, you can't stay in that comfort zone for too long. I mean, shit. Even our little bubble at aisle 9, man. Yeah. Like you can only ride that way for so long till the next person comes up and is fucking now they're outshining you, and it's just like a friendly battle back and forth to see who's going to outdo who. And I appreciate that. I will say I do have guilty pleasures when I may win an award when I got a hater out in the crowd at like a convention. That feels pretty good, but the humble inside of me is like, no, don't bask in it too long. That wouldn't be appropriate. But really, I'm like, suck my dick.
Man, well, something else we've mentioned before. There's a difference between playing not to lose versus playing to win.
Oh yeah, you have to put yourself out there. You got to be willing to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be fully aware that
Burn the ships.
Yeah, I don't think unless you've ever been backed against the wall, you don't really know what you're made of.
Man,
I don't think so.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, is your house on the line?
Yeah.
Or is your entire career? Sometimes maybe your career is not on the line, but it's okay to think that.
That's right.
I think so.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, I've certainly like tattooing is like. I've tasted some sweetness in my life. I mean, it's really rewarded me. But it's sometimes sometimes they're thinner than others when you're starting out. And I don't think I ever like thought of quitting or like this isn't the path I'm supposed to be on. It's like meeting that one girl, it's like meeting my wife. It's just something this is it. I'm not I'm not going to veer off this course ever. Yeah,
man. It's
easier. Life gets easier if you find the spot you're supposed to be in. I feel bad for people that don't know what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because you can get tunnel vision and just focus
like
on what you need to focus on.
Tattooing is a drug. It's a drug.
Totally.
It is.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, I can relate with that.
Man. Well, and you've got your hands in other things. Like today, other than just strictly tattooing, you got other irons in the fire, other things going on.
Yeah, I brought you some presents, some holy water. So if you'd like to make things a little bit easier on your clients, have mercy. It's mercy in a bottle. It's awesome. Definitely can stretch out your tattoo times. Yeah. I've worked with a lot of products over the years that there's like bad healing times, like weird reactions, like too much lidocaine, and a whole host of other things that aren't really good for your tattoo. So it's maybe 10 years in the process of just coming up with something that works. And we found that, I really without a whole lot of effort, like the product kind of took off just because it's a good product.
Yeah.
So check it out, Holy Water. You can find it on Amazon or any host of tattoo distributors.
We'll make sure to put a link down below on the YouTube channel as well, for sure, for everybody. That's good that you mentioned that because I've been looking into some numbing stuff lately, and I'm like kind of lost. I just remember like Vasecaine, and it would like make you get goosebumps, and your tattoo would heal weird. Like so. Yeah. So with Holy Water, is it a lidocaine-based solution? It is lidocaine. Is there? It doesn't have any vascular constrictors or lots of extras. It does contain emu oil, which helps counteract a lot of those bad stuff that can happen with lidocaine. Nice. It is not vegan. It's not vegan. It's not vegan. Yeah, the emus. Is it they're very nice. They're not very nice creatures. I'll say that. If I'm tattooing, is it something I would spray on the tattoo, like once it's kind of opened up? Do I wipe it back off and tattoo, or do you just kind of tattoo through it? You just kind of tattoo through it. Some people will occlude it or something, like if they take a break, maybe put a paper towel or something over it. But it's something that can you can just spray and go, and it's something you can reuse as many times as you want. It's not like a product where it's so overpowering that you could. Every tattooist knows that they've got a numbing product. They save it till the end because they know once they put it on, once it wears off, there's no putting more on, or the tattoo will be ruined. Right. This is something you can use it liberally, and it smells great, and it can be used as part of your aftercare regimen too. So it's a good product for your customers to take away when they leave. Nice. Oh. Yeah, because when you're doing these huge projects, like people are always like, you have to earn it. But but when it's been like 7, 8, 9 hours, you fucking earned it. Right. Phil, when I was getting tattooed by Philip Blue in his chair in Switzerland, I sat for each day like 9 hours a piece, and we talked about doing my back, and he'd even mentioned like, hey, maybe we could go to Thailand, and like it's a lot cheaper there. We can get a whole bungalow and like a doctor and a nurse, and they could just put you out, and you could wake up with a back piece. And I'm like, I am on board with that. That'd be so amazing. Like, and I'm like, who am I going to piss off? It's Phil Blue, right? Yeah.
Wake up with a back piece, missing a kidney.
Can you imagine?
It's right. Oh, that could be a plus.
Hell yeah. Good shit, man.
See, I will have to get you guys. See, I've been working on this little podcast, the Tattoo Godcast, right?
Okay.
You know, it's been a long time in the work. We've had to revamp it a few times, but I'm going to get you on there. I want to talk, maybe even in future shows. Like, I'm going to drop maybe a few seeds. You know, like, what do you think about? And recently, I've been talked about this. Cultural appropriation in tattoos. What do you feel about? What are your feelings on that? 'Cause I've been attacked a few times in social media a few times about it, and I've got some strong beliefs when it comes to that.
Well, even
So
if
I've
you're
definitely had people.
Go ahead.
I've definitely had people attack me. I do a lot of like African portraits, you know what I mean, on white people, I guess. So people are like, I don't know how I feel about that. And like some of these people that even though they're white, they actually come from Africa. You know what I mean? And so the person looking at it on Facebook doesn't even know that. And I've definitely had some verbal abuse from that. You know what I mean? So for me personally, it's like if the client, I don't know if it's what they want. Like I don't know. I guess I don't really think.
Well, I mean, like if you happen to be Polynesian, like is that the only tattoo you're allowed to get?
Right.
Like if you come from the South Pacific, you aren't allowed to get like a Harley Davidson tattoo.
Right.
You're not allowed. You must get little triangles and circles and black lines. That's what you must have.
Right. Yeah, throughout all history of time, man, we can't judge a book by its cover, and there's no cookie cutter fit for one human being, whether we're talking about cultural appropriation, when we're talking about spiritual beliefs, whether you believe in God or not, any of that. And so I usually keep it situational with the human being I'm called to work with today and try and use my discernment to serve them, but still have the freedom to be me.
Right.
You know,
I think of tattooing as it's sort of been like it's a cultural melting pot, and if anything, we glorify lots of things and sort of keep them alive.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you copy cultures, and assimilating to other cultures is what keeps them alive and passed down through generations to begin with. So if we stop that, you know, the repercussions are going to be that it disappears.
Right.
Like if you only had one style of tattooing, like what would it be?
Yeah, no shit, man. Yeah, and I believe most of us, like, we're not trying to offend anyone.
Oh no,
obviously people
we're glorifying it.
It's art.
That's right. I think it comes down to intent. And that's what it really is. If you're intending to, you know, harm somebody or whatever, you know what I mean. Obviously, if it's clearly you're doing it with intent, you know what I mean.
I mean, man, I've had dreadlocks for 21 years now, and just recently found out that that's offensive. You know, I've had people like write me on my TikTok and be like, "Bro, why don't you give them back?" You know what I'm saying? I'm like, fuck, I grew these myself. It's been 21 years. I'm pretty sure I earned them, and I never meant to offend anyone. You know what I'm saying?
No.
You know?
See, this is a great subject. I just wanted to see what happened.
Yeah, it's wild. And we're still learning. The name of the game right now, and maybe you'll disagree with this, because we're learning, and we're trying not to, like, fucking create unnecessary fires, because there's so many people out there, and like you said, we're a shop that gets hated on, I get hated on, so people are just looking for a reason.
But I mean, I think maybe tattooing is on the verge. I mean, it doesn't look like this because it's bleeding over into popular culture in a way that it's never has before, for sure.
Yeah.
But I also think it's the pendulum is swinging, and there's like a reckoning coming, like in music too. I think maybe tattooing is like a last bastion for maybe punk rock could exist again.
Yeah,
like I've heard a lot of artists and things even recently saying like, I don't think punk rock could exist nowadays. And like my argument is that I think it has to.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I think the alternative is bleak. And I don't think we should give. I think some people are just going to need to be offended. We need some nice healthy dose. A nice healthy dose of being offended.
Come on.
Sure.
I enjoy being offended.
Yeah.
I get shit talked about me online all day long. Man, my wife is like, I'm like, look, some hate mail. It's like just brightens my day up. I'm like, somebody's thinking about me.
Yeah.
You know,
Brenner
like,
brought up a story where I don't know if you guys they tried to burn your shop down or something, and when everyone else is bummed, you were like, "Fuck yeah, they hate us." You know?
Yeah, that's right.
No, that was my story. That was Bloomington.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how we were welcome to the neighborhood with the broken fucking window.
Yeah, slash tires.
I'm like, Mark, they broke our window, and he's like, that's fucking great.
That's fucking so great, man.
And I wasn't at the time. I was like not able to process how correct he was, but he was correct. You know what I mean? At the time, I was like, what the fuck, you know? Yeah, slash tires and shit, you know.
Man.
But
I remember my first death threat. It really takes me back. Brings a tear to my eye. Really, you know, if you ain't got death threats,
are you even doing anything?
There's a T-shirt right there. Yeah, if you ain't got death threats,
man. Love
So,
it.
speaking of getting some hate mail and stuff, for those listeners who are familiar with Mark, he's on a couple of seasons of Ink Master. I don't know if that's something you want to talk about, or if that's something
sure.
that,
I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
I was not a huge fan, but as soon as I found out that you were on there, I'm like watching every episode of this motherfucker.
Oh yeah, I hated it. I was totally against it. I'm like, oh wait, you want me to be on there? Oh yeah, well then I like it so much better. Yeah, like, I hated it because I wasn't part of it. Yeah, I really,
Sure.
I think I prided myself on having my finger on the pulse of
Yeah.
what was going on in the industry, and I just missed it.
Sure.
So I was certainly like not happy about it. Yeah.
Were you on season 6 and 7? Is that right?
Six, and 7, yeah, and then a whole host of other like little spin-offs and sort of like
Sure.
a reoccurring villain.
Sure.
That's the best guy to be. Yeah.
And then being someone that knows you pretty well, like I don't see in real life you're that much of a villain, and maybe I shouldn't be giving that away, but is that something that you kind of thought of, like, hey, I'm going to do this?
Well, I think so. A lot of it, even the whole like the persona, the tattoo god. I mean, that was complete. Like I had the website Tattoo God like years before I went on there. I was like waiting to drop that. And I got these products that I got this like holy water spray I'm working on. So I kind of had my ducks in order when that came by. Yeah, it came through with the show. But I really did enjoy the show. I like me and my wife like a lot of reality television. She watches a lot of Real Housewives. I don't know if you're familiar with those franchises. But since my wife watches that by proxy, I watch a lot of that. So I knew exactly I wanted to be the meanest bitch on the show. Like just a smug, mean, and I don't know, anybody who knows me, I always get that. Like, you're so smug. I'm like, is that bad? What is being, you seem smug.
Yeah, do I?
Yeah. I like that. I like that about you. Yeah, you're like, yeah, I got my shit together. What are you going to do to me? I'm happy. Really?
Yeah, dude.
But I really, the devil gets the best lines, so I think it's better to be the villain in those situations.
Sure. Yeah.
Man.
For me anyway.
Yeah, I remember. I was working with Paul Booth, and he, I was asking him, I was like, "What about these rumors I'm hearing?" He goes, "Feel free to go home and spread all the fucking rumors you want." He goes, "If they want to say I eat babies, I eat babies."
That's right.
You know what I mean? It reminds me a lot of that. You know what I mean?
Love that.
Yeah, and he got lots of death threats.
Big time.
Yeah.
Still does.
Lucky.
Paul Booth did?
Lucky.
Lucky.
Well, this helps me because, as you mentioned, you did some of your research, you realize I'm hated on a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And that's been a struggle for me, and I had to check my own ego, realize, obviously I love people, want to be liked by everybody, realize that's not fucking
But you have a
happening.
prolific personality. Really, you project it. You do.
Okay.
It's a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause to me, like in my mind, you're like sort of like in the world of magic and tattoos, all is love, and let's make some money.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy is perfect. He's perfect. Yeah. This is what I've been trying to do. Like, wait a minute, he stole my shit. Like, that's my line. Yeah. But yeah, I totally appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, fuck yeah, man.
Dude,
That's
so
good.
it's cool that we brought up the Ink Master thing, because in my arrogance, I'm the young pup in this circle. So like I'm working in hole in the wall shops, Ink Master comes out, boom, I'm kind of watching it to learn what I can, because the people I'm working around can't really teach me anything, and I'm too scared to step out and meet people that are up in the industry. And here comes along Saint Marq, and I'm like, this dude is a fucking dickhead, and he's arrogant and cocky, and fuck this guy, I hope he loses. And I start working with Clemmer and hanging around Brenner a little bit, and I keep hearing this Mark Agee name get thrown, and I'm like, who the fuck is this dude you're talking about? And they're like, Saint Marq. I'm like, the fucking asshole on Ink Master? And they're like, yeah, that's him. He's like,
He's a real tattooer? No. No.
And then Joey Brenner comes to work with us, and he's like, nah, dude, he's a sweetheart, dude. He's a cool guy. Like, that's just all play. And I was like, oh, man, well, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And the more I get to find out about this, still intimidated. And it's funny, because I was just saying before you got here to Matt, I remember the last time we were doing Hell City, and I was tattooing a fucking sleeve that I've been working on, that John Cusack movie. What's that? I want my $2. What is that fucking movie?
Better Off Dead.
Yeah.
Better Off Dead. And I'm doing that little boy, the little paper boy, and I'm losing my stencil, and I'm in the zone with my headphones on, and I just like look over, and you're standing towering over top of me with your arms crossed, and I'm like, God damn.
Is that in Columbus?
Yeah. So I'm like having to like try to cover up my fuck ups while you're looking over top of me, and the whole time I'm just like profusely sweating, and I'm like, dude, will he please fucking get away from me so I can fucking be comfortable and finish this tattoo without fucking his pupil up. So yeah, it's just been a line of intimidation. It started with like, fuck this dude, he's an arrogant asshole, to like, oh, he's fucking like the whole reason that I've been inspired to even be in this thing called tattooing, and everyone around me has a piece that they've taken from you, to like, you're just a fucking sweetheart, dude. You know? The villain.
Well, I think the TV thing. I'm glad you brought that up. But I think a lot of artists, and even myself, I mean, maybe started watching some of the Inkmaster stuff from a bad place. You know, I didn't want to like it, and I think if you're going into it trying to learn something, that's certainly maybe not, what you should be watching it for. It's purely entertainment. I mean, I didn't go on Inkmaster to like to prove that I could tattoo. And I think by that time I'd already become sort of an older guy. That like the newer generation was sort of taking over, and I'm like, man, I'm being forgotten about. Like when like all I got to do is just get myself. I need to get a bigger audience. Like I want my power back. I want to be the cool kid again. It was much cooler in the beginning where you're doing like these really large, forward thinking back pieces, and people ask you how long you've been tattooing, and I'd say, 4 years, 5 years, and they're like, wow, that gives you like an endorphin rush.
Feels good.
It feels great. It's I think that's what it's all about. But as that sort of fades, you got to find some other way of getting it. And maybe me going on the show had something to do with that. But I certainly didn't go to like prove that I could tattoo. It was sort of like, hey, I want to try on being a reality star. Maybe what's that like?
Right.
Like that has to be like an experience. Even if it's fleeting. I mean, it's not going to last forever. But I'm certainly glad that I did that for sure.
Totally.
I wouldn't trade those experiences for anything. I met a lot of really good friends too.
And I would assume it probably was a boon for your career, right? I mean, it seems
for
like
sure. It brought everything right back to the forefront, and just like you said, a lot of older cats had to like explain. Well, like who's this guy calling himself a god? And I immediately hated. I mean, it was designed to do that, and it fucking worked.
It totally worked.
And it makes the guys hate you, and then like and I could hear it all the time. I'm like, I'm talking to my boss, talking about this asshole calling himself a god. What do you think of him? And it's like some old national guy, and they'd be like, well. Well, he kind of, he's kind of an old guy. We know each other. I think it was perfect.
I remember early on, I think it might have even been maybe the first episode when you did like a stained glass piece, and I remember thinking it was just funny because already there was kind of some shit talking stuff, and then Mark just fucking dropped the bomb on him. They had to do some stained glass challenge, and Mark's was like actual stained glass. You know what I mean?
Man, I've never done a stained glass before that tattoo. That was the first time.
You killed it, so it just made
I've done
precedent.
like tons of them now.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Cool. Very cool.
Do you remember like when you decided to try like just magnums, like to give you the balls to be like, I'm not even gonna use a liner,
Man, I think a lot of it also, if you remember back during that time, we were, a lot of us, and I don't remember if probably you, but we were making a lot of our own needles.
We were,
we made everything. I mean, my whole process almost even turned into like, meeting with my client, doing a consult. We'd talk about it and draw for a while. I'd even invite them into the back of the shop, and I would sit and handcraft and make the needle I was going to use on them with them present.
Wow.
So like I would give time and love to that needle. And I think maybe in the beginning it started off to where like not just that part of it, but if you can do it all with a 15 mag, you don't got to make 20 different kinds. So maybe there's a little bit of laziness that you kind of worked out in there, I'm sure. You're like, well, if I could just do it with this one, or how about this? If I could just hit a hole in one, wouldn't that just be easier? Let's just do it with this one.
Right, we'll work smarter, not
I got
harder.
one of these, and I don't want to give up the money. So you're saying I get the $2,000 if I do the tattoo, if I finish it, even if I don't have all the needles I need. You're saying if I finish today, I get the money. Like, well, okay. Oh, well, I got a 15 mag. That $2,000 is mine, sir. Yeah.
The thing about Mark's shop when he says he brings them in the bag too, like the North Side shop and specifically, This place was enormous. It had a fucking half pipe, like a little mini half pipe ramp.
That's right, it did.
There was this giant CNC machine making jewelry. I think there was some airbrushing or some screen printing. Some screen printing stuff was going on. So it wasn't just like a shop. It was kind of like
Strip mall.
Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory. It was like a kind of a version of something like that. You know what I mean?
That's weird you say that, but that's absolutely a weird comparison.
Yeah,
It's exactly
really,
like that.
It was really big, and it was beautiful, beautiful tattooing where it needed to be. But there was all kinds of cool shit. It was like being a kid, in a clubhouse. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm at Saint Marq's clubhouse. You know?
It was like a wonderland, really.
Yeah.
That's
It
awesome.
was cool.
Jeez.
But yeah, I
It
remember that.
had to fail. It had to.
But I do remember that. I remember specifically one client showing up, and you were going to do like a Japanese snake, and you brought him in the back, and you just drew with a Sharpie, and I remember it just ended up being this beautiful sleeve with like a diamond in the head of the snake and stuff, and I just remember thinking like, man, like it wasn't like you were unprepared. It was more like you worked better that way. You worked better, just like do it now. Let's go on the spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, do you work like that?
I do.
I
mean,
I definitely adopted that from you for sure. Yeah, I work better under pressure. I work better.
For sure.
You had told me. I got the weirdest stories about you, man. You had told me when you were in high school one time that you like were late on a art project, and like the night before you like fucking. I think you said you like spit baloney on some paper or some shit like that.
Man, do I like to? I just like to talk. I just love talking. Apparently, I'll just tell you everything.
But I remember,
that's
I remember
real
you were
stories.
like, you still got an A. You know what I mean? And it just seemed like the more. I don't want to say unprepared.
It was
like
called Dream of Bologna Starflakes. There were snowflakes, yeah.
Yeah,
Dream
see,
of
I'm
the
not making
bologna
this shit
snow-
up, guys.
I just made bologna snowflakes and I turned that shit in. I think it was the ballsiness was the turning it in part.
right.
Yeah, that was the art. The art was
It just taught
straight
me
face,
like
turn it in.
yeah. It just taught me like it wasn't unpreparedness. It was like think on your feet. You know what I mean? Like how a rapper can just fucking start flowing just with nothing. You know, Mark was doing that with just his whole life. You know what I mean? It was just like, you know.
But I think that goes back to like something I'd said previously is like I don't like to jade things, and like I previous to being a tattooer, I kind of like was groomed to be a commercial artist. I was groomed to be an advertiser. So like I come from this background of like making things sell. So in some degrees, I won't say it's on purpose, but if I'm running a little late or if I have to draw it on the spot and everyone's watching, well then that keeps it pure. I don't have time to overthink it. If I've got 10 hours to draw it, I'm just gonna kill it. I'm gonna overdo it and kill it. It's not gonna be inspired. I guess maybe that's what I'm always searching to be inspired. I crave that feeling. I don't always hit it. I mean, we try to hit it, but I'm like lusting after that feeling, for sure. Maybe like a musician, I feel like I'm like playing a guitar for like 20,000 people while I'm tattooing. I mean, I really do feel this way. I sort of see colors and hallucinate a bit of that. Yeah, what are you thinking there? Sort of like,
I'm
wow,
digging it.
That's new.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I just fucking, I appreciate that. And, especially like you said, the lust for inspiration, which when we're open to it, comes in so many different forms and often through vessels we would have never fucking expected that show up in our lives, right? But, as I've grown, one thing that inspires me and turns me on now, instead of, even though I still got the competitor in me that wants to show up to a show and try and take best of show, what fuels me more today is, I'm like dad at the shop, is raising up other cats and sending them.
But your work is really inspired, and it looks inspired. It does. I mean, I noticed it when you just recognize it.
Yeah, and I appreciate
you can't fake that. You can't fake it.
Right, you're right, man, and I appreciate it. I do. I get more inspired on fucking helping the next generation go and fucking create salad days for them. And that's just one thing. Knowing that I won't, I don't know, but. Do you enjoy being a leader to others?
Sometimes.
Yeah. I
mean, maybe sometimes you can't help it. Maybe if you're the one with the fastest car, I don't think you think about that.
Gotcha.
Everybody just kind of gets in line and they're going with you.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes I need somebody else to be that.
Yeah. Right.
Or maybe after a while you realize that it can't always be you. You got to let somebody else take the reins a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a difference, though, between letting someone else or on purpose fucking helping them.
I guess it's always been on purpose.
Yeah.
I think maybe owning shops with a lot of really great talent in them is sort of like being like a professional sports coach.
Yeah, which
it is. It's a lot like that. I'm like, how do you wrangle? Like really, again, working with guys, having guys with me like Josh and Brian. I'm like, how do I lead a team that's full of stars like Shaqs and Kobe's? Like, how do I inspire them and keep myself inspired?
Right.
I don't think there's an easy answer to that question.
And other than that, when that team grows and goes their own way, how do you then do that again?
Inevitably, it will. You have to do it again.
Yeah. And that's the fun to me. Like,
how can I be my best Phil Jackson? That's a sports name.
Come on, fuck yeah, man!
Out there.
Over and over again.
Not just once, not
that's
a fluke.
Right.
Can I
that's
do it
right.
again?
That's right.
Can I get a divorce and lose everything and then build it back again?
Come on, man!
Right. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. Me neither.
Man,
do you have do you think you've got like a favorite tattoo? Like, I know you know a lot of full body suits and people you've worked on for years. Do you have something that really sticks with you?
Man, I don't. That's hard to say. I think it changes from week to week, month to month.
Yeah.
I think that the Vietnam wall back piece still probably.
Yeah, I'd have to
probably
say
the one that means
well.
the most to me. It means it was the right tattoo. It went on the right person at the right time, and it meant a lot to my. Not that it was the most important thing, but it meant a lot to my career. It's still. I mean, we just talked about it.
Yeah.
Again, it's still reverberating, and I think it's just something I accidentally fell into some magic at that moment.
Yeah,
I think I try to create magic. Do you use magic? That's a weird thing to say.
Dude,
I try to use magic.
I fucking love that.
Yeah.
You know, the name of our studio is called Aisle 9. People ask, why Aisle 9? And the answer is because miracles and magic can happen anywhere and everywhere, even in Aisle 9 at the grocery.
Okay, I think I like that.
Yeah, brother. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we believe in magic for sure, man. Hell yeah. Man, and Mark has created so much magic in so many lives. It's crazy. This is like some wonderful life shit, because I know to some degree you understand the impact you've had, but I also can't help but think you probably don't have a clue to the degree of the lives that
as
you've
much
impacted.
as I'd like to think so, probably not. But I feel very lucky to be sitting here talking about it.
Man,
for sure.
It's fucking real.
I mean, I know where I come from. I think I've always been. I came up watching guys like Jack Rudy, Tony Olivas, Guy Atchison, but even Paul Booth. We're about the same age. I still sort of looked up to him as not really as a peer, but I definitely starstruck a bit when I first met Paul. But yeah, I don't think it seems like the age of the internet has sort of fucked that up a bit, because it seems like the internet when that sort of came about, everyone became their own father. Yeah, everyone, like, they didn't learn from anybody. They are the most famous. They are the end all be all. They are the alpha and the omega. And hardly at the beginning, it seemed like hardly no mention of really where we came from. I remember like even some of my friends were like, "You got to get on Instagram," and I'm like, it sort of tastes bad to me. I don't really like the social media thing. And I'd like pull up, and at the time I'm pulling up, oh look, Guy Atchison. Let's see, the guy down the street has 30,000 followers, and Guy Atchison at the time had like 8,000. So I'm like, so I don't believe any of this. I think it's like a credit score that you could buy.
You're right.
Yeah, so I've always said that like we should just all put our dick sizes on the back of our jackets. Like, everybody just got their dick size on the back of their jacket,
or just the one you want it to be.
Right? Yeah.
That's what the internet.
That's what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember you and Paul Booth running around in luchador masks.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, me and Paul Booth were luchadors. He got me a luchador mask, and we put them on and like made capes and stuff, and we were bodyguards of Tony Olivas, and we like ran around the hotel and like wrestled and like knocked over tables, like really, literally, like we were jumping on top of each other and knocking tables over. And like, it's Paul Booth, but he's got a mask on. Nobody knows it's Paul. I guess it's Paul Booth, but maybe not at first glance.
That's fucking awesome.
Like, why is Saint Marq and Paul Booth wrestling in the restaurant?
So I've heard rumors too of like you allegedly being able to, like, you familiar with Val, right? Val Tatboo, the Russian chick, that you were like one of the first to be able to Sharpie on a portrait of someone just standing
I
there.
probably did that, yeah, from time to time, yeah.
Crazy.
Or sometimes it, like feeling kind of frisky, or if there's like maybe somebody, if I'm maybe really mad about something and I'm trying to show off, that's when maybe you don't pin it on at all. You just start tattooing because you're mad. Yeah, got something to prove, but yeah, only probably not all the time, but yeah.
Also, I'm also large, like a lot of massive coverage. Like Mark, the first time he came out to Evergreen, he did an entire back piece in one day. Jesus. Back
Almost.
Piece.
Yeah,
close enough.
He hasn't come back for one session since that.
Wow.
Not one. Like I heard him or something. Yeah, Jack. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah.
Tell him you got some holy water. You
That's right. I told him I got some holy water, man. Yeah.
But I hadn't seen a lot of people do that. Like my thing is you see people and they'll be like, we're going to do a whole back piece at this convention, and it's like it looks good, but you can tell. But like kind of that indicating thing, like Mark would kind of, it's like done enough, but it's more indicated. You can build on it. So instead of it looking like it was rushed for the convention, it's like a really beautiful layer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but also that show is like, it's Josh Carlton's show, and he has all these badasses there.
Yeah.
So what am I going to go there and do?
Right.
What am I going to do? I'm like, I don't, I like, there's, I'm a competitor. More we talk about it, a lot of it comes back to that.
I love that, man. That's
super
who I love
competitive,
to
which I
roll with,
appreciate,
yeah.
because that's definitely me. We're all the same way. We're all super competitive.
Yeah, I don't think those are bad words in our industry.
Not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Like
We
you
need more
said,
of
it's
it.
whoever wants to.
Yeah, I mean, if you get bested, take the L. Just work harder. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
it's almost refreshing.
Yeah.
to
Get
just
that feeling where
smashed.
you, where you never want to feel that way again. You come back the next year harder than fuck.
True, and the other side of that coin, losing to some of the people that I've lost to, like at shows like Evergreen or Hell City, like, if I'm going to lose, please, by all means, let it be to fucking Phil Garcia's and fucking
Exactly.
Timmy B's.
You can call back home and go, hey guys, guess who I lost to? Awesome.
Hell yeah, man. That's good shit.
I think I've just always been such a sucker for like innovation, and I've been tattooing long enough to kind of watch it. So I think that's the reason that I'm still kind of hung up on all the things that Saint Marq brought to the table and continues to bring to the table. So,
Man, I love taking credit for you, Josh. I love to. Any chance I get, I love to drop names like, oh yeah, Josh Carlton, know that guy? Oh yeah, taught him everything he knows.
You're welcome, world.
Right. No, I'm lucky enough I get to teach seminars around the world. I was actually able to teach a seminar in the Pope's Palace, like literally a fucking castle in France. And I say that, I tell the same story, man. I always give you credit. So
yeah,
not to be an ass
it's
kiss,
a perfect example is Josh. I'm like, when he comes from our lineage. I mean, we definitely, if you look at our work, you can tell that we belong to the same family.
For sure.
And I bring your name up constantly with the guys that work in my shop, Josh.
Appreciate it.
I'm like, do you not know that you're part of a family with this guy?
Yeah, right.
Like maybe you don't know that, but you do, whether you know it or not. And I think the longer they tattoo, they start to realize these little nuances or things that they do have come from like Hugh or Jerry, and certainly I get to sort of like sit back proudly, like that I had anything to do with it.
Yes.
It's not like you know what I mean? I didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't guide your hand. You did all that, but I certainly will take the praise. I'll totally take credit. Just want to say that for the record.
Hell yeah.
How long have you been tattooing now?
Man, like 31 years, I think. 30, going on 32.
Isn't that amazing to be able to say that? It's just crazy when I tell people how long I've been tattooing. It's like, I've been tattooing longer than I haven't. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right now. Wow.
Mm-hmm. That's powerful, man.
How old are you now? How old are you now?
I'll be 47 in June.
Okay. You?
Wait, I might be
here?
48 in June. I don't remember. It's one of those.
45.
51. Yeah.
I just turned 40 today, so.
Yeah, he just joined.
See, I don't really mind getting a little bit older as well. Like,
You said you're 51.
Yeah.
You said 51.
Yeah, 51.
Damn. Do you dye your hair?
No, you flirting with me?
Yeah.
Sorry. So a little sparkle. Yeah.
Mercy.
Things are getting all flustered.
No, we're the old guys now, Josh.
I know.
We're the old guys.
Jimmy Litwalk's like, us old guys got to stick together, and I was like, what the fuck are you saying? And that's like the first time I'd heard that. But he's
I'm like, people will say Josh Carlton. They say it with like the same reverence as we would have said Jack Rudy.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I mean, so it's a weird being on the other end of that.
Yeah.
How do you? I mean, do you reconcile with that, or?
Yeah, I just kind of accepted it. I'm just happy to be here and be a part of it. You know what I mean?
I mean,
One of these days.
Go ahead.
One of these days, I think that we should write a book, man. Like you and I should definitely write just all these stories, and me, you, and Brian, and these road trips where we fucking just.
That's one of those things that's been on my mind, and especially maybe after I turned 50, it's been on my mind a lot. Actually, I think it's something you've always said. You should write a book, Mark. You should write a book.
Yeah,
I mean, I really do need to write a book.
I mean, you have so many stories before I even met you, and like we spent hours on the road together, and and there was always just things that happened on the way. We were at Paul Booth's first convention. You know what I mean? I don't know if you remember. Do you remember this? We went to Paul Booth's first convention, and so there was the convention, and then on the other hotel next to us was a porn convention, and then on the hotel on the other side was Sesame Street convention. So we were all like, it was the weirdest shit ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just fucking stories.
Actually, the first show I met Paul was like Pittsburgh, and it was like tattoo convention, and then like a Catholic catechism. So there's like nuns walking around.
Oh, it's perfect.
And everything. Yeah, lots of stories. I don't know, why did you guys get into tattooing? I had rock star plans. I think every tattooist had rock star plans. Did you have rock star plans?
Well, it's crazy.
Totally do. We're on a podcast. You have this whole. You have rock star plans.
Well, fuck yeah, man. If we're gonna do it, let's fucking do it.
Right.
You know. Yeah.
It didn't work out. I did not become a member of Van Halen or Motley Crue, but there was this.
That's right.
Yeah.
And did you try and actually do music first? Because I did.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I did too.
Most of us probably have. Yeah.
Well, in 2003, I have an identical twin brother, and we actually got a record deal. That's the goal when you're a band. Let's try and get signed. We did it. We went all the way to the top, and Sony offered us $10 million to sign, plus national distribution. Back then, TRL on MTV was real huge.
Right, that's right.
And so we thought, oh, fuck, our dream's coming true. And then I met the producers who wanted to turn us into anything but who we really were. And my brother and I just looked at each other, and I was like, guys, thanks, but no thanks. And they couldn't fucking believe it. Like, no one turns us down, especially this kind of money. And of course, my drummer and bass player is like, dude, we'll sell out and play in pink Speedos for 10 million. You know what I'm saying? But to me, no dollar amount was worth the whole world knowing me as that one guy that made that one hit wonder song that even I didn't like, and having no anonymity. And so I turned it down. And that's when I hung up the microphone and realized, man, I can't live the rest of my life playing for the beer tab, for the bar tab. And so eventually I was led to tattooing, but I was on the path to do the rock star.
And knowing what first. You know now, like looking back on that, it probably wouldn't have come to any fruition because it wasn't where your heart was to begin with. It wasn't real. It wasn't a real.
That's
thing.
right. Yeah. That's right, man. Yeah, but I didn't get into tattooing. That's right. But when
you're a rock star too, Josh.
Fuck yeah, he is.
I still make music, actually.
Yeah. We all know. Yeah.
That's right. And speaking of, I saw you open for.
I've got to do cool stuff. Tattooing has been so good to me. Yeah.
Hell yeah!
But didn't you open for like Dave Navarro's band in the recent years?
Yeah, Jane's Addiction.
Jane's Addiction.
Got to do that. That was pretty awesome. That had nothing to do with Ink Master. Just happened to be friends with people that are touring in bands all the time. I was playing in a band. Actually, I think the current bass player with a band Cold.
Yeah,
it was one of their old bands that was opening for their shows already, and they were just like, you know what, we're gonna get Mark to come out and close the show for us a few shows.
Fuck
so I'm like going like, I didn't make any money, but that's off the bucket list.
Yeah, come on.
Like we did shows for like Buck Cherry, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, for those few moments,
yep,
I'm a total fucking rock star.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I was even probably thinking of like, you know what? I hope Josh sees this.
I saw it.
Hell yeah.
I was like, it's the one person in the whole world. I'm like, man, I want Josh to see this.
Nice. That's awesome.
Fuck yeah. That's good.
Because these are Europe playing cool shows. All the lights and smoke look all kick ass. You know that I see that shit. I'm like going like, fuck you, Josh, but fucking fucking go get him. Yeah, that's right.
That's the perfect attitude to have.
Fuck that guy.
Do you? What's the shop that you're working out of? Like, where are you at now? Like, what's home for you?
Well, I live in Indianapolis still, but the shop after I sold off a lot of shops to prospective partners like Little Brian. I mean, the shops are all still around. We just sort of, ex-wives sort of make it better to sort of divide things up.
Yeah.
Like make I sort of like I know that they didn't want to deal with my ex-wife, so so we sort of like just kind of like they bought me out, and that was that. But I kept a shop on the Purdue campus, and that's where I steadily work. Most of the time is on the Purdue campus. I love the Purdue campus. You'll have to come. When are you going to come out, Josh?
Yeah, I'm going to be in Indiana in June.
You're coming to the show.
Well, I didn't even know the show was going on, but it's literally going on at the same time. So yes, I'm going to stop by for
great.
Sure.
That is great. Yeah.
Wow.
So
and what show is that?
So
how many days are you going to be out for?
Expo,
I'm there for like a
Tattoo
full
Expo.
week, maybe 10 days even.
So let me buy you dinner or something.
Hell yeah, that'd be awesome.
Great.
I appreciate that.
Jeez.
Awesome.
Huge.
I'm trying to think of where Purdue's at. That's
West Lafayette.
West Lafayette. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Awesome.
It's like in between Indy and Chicago.
Is it the same studio that Monty had for a while? Back in the day?
We've moved a couple of times over the year.
Okay.
I've had a shop there like 25 years or something like that. That's
Wow.
really strange to say, but it's grown. It's grown exponentially. It used to be like a 3-chair shop. Now it's got 12.
Wow.
Chairs.
Nice.
And is it called New Breed?
Yeah, still called New Breed.
Yeah, cool.
Hell yeah, I love that. And for our listeners, that I highly recommend you do this. If somebody wants to book with you, Mark, are you taking any new clients or?
I'm always taking clients.
Nice.
Always.
See, I love that attitude.
I am a workaholic, and like I have a pet peeve. I could probably do a whole show on this. What is with everybody like proclaiming to the world in their advertising that their books are closed until a described time? Right. Like, what sort of business plan is this really? To where it's sort of like virtue. They're virtue signaling. It's sort of like you know what? I'm better than you.
Yeah.
They're telling all the other artists in town that they're better than them. And in case you didn't know, I'm booked. Living my best life ever. That's what it sounds. Whenever I hear my books are closed, I hear #best life ever. I'm like, did you guys just get divorced? Are you guys like 40-something divorcees? Right. That's what it sounds like to me.
Your
like,
Facebook
my wife
is just
would
full of
kill me.
memes. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'll get even some of my best friends. I'm like, so you're booked. So why do you go home at 5 o'clock? Right. That's not booked. I got finished working last night at like 6 a.m. Yeah. I have an appointment. I could say that I'm booked for a year or whatever. I could just pick a time and say I'm booked until then.
Yeah.
But I never tattoo anybody new, and I'm going to miss out on like some serendipitous type tattoos that are maybe trying to make their way to me.
Yeah. Right.
And if they see me post something saying "Don't come to me," well, then I'm going against nature. That's not. I love tattooing. So if you catch me, I'll do walk-ins. I don't post walk-ins, but I do walk-ins with my guys. I don't want them to do anything that I wouldn't do. And but again, back to the being booked thing. I'm like, there's guys down the street from my shop, but like you haven't heard of them. I don't even remember their name. I can't even talk about them. But like they're booked. Like but they're booked with like 4 tattoos a month.
Yeah.
Sure. But their books are closed. Remember that. I'm like, are they driving a Maserati or something? Oh no, they don't have a car. Oh, but they're great. But they're booked. Their books are closed. Or they're like, or sort of like this Tuesday from 12 until 2. I'm going to be taking appointments. So if you can come in from 12 to 2, my books are going to open, but then at 2:30 they're closing again. They slam shut and you're screwed. I mean, you hear this crap, right? You know what I'm talking
Every
about.
day, yeah.
I hate it. I can't even stand it. You probably do it.
I think I don't do it. I know someone who does it. But
I do it.
I just threw it out there. Which one of you? You?
No,
You're
does.
the one.
But he just did it for the first time ever. And that was like a growing moment for him to step into doing that. And it was really because he needed to create boundaries.
Was that the donut, though? Was that the donut?
No, I was actually
You were
booked.
reaching, was the donut like, I've made it to a point where I'm booked, so it's sort of like a graduation or like a coming of age where you get to tell everyone.
It was hilarious. That's not the only way to perceive it. I see now that you break it down like that. I see how it could be construed that way, and that's the difference between dudes who really need fucking boundaries in their life to, there is a way to where, from a marketing standpoint, it does create demand. People have fear of missing out, so they're like, "Fuck."
I hear that, but I think it gets overused. I don't think it's being used properly. It's just it's almost like they're flat out just showing all their cards right now.
I think a lot of it is virtue signaling for sure. I definitely did not get that from Hip. I think Hip came to a spot where he was able to do that, but I do like the smugness of books closed. Yeah, I totally get that.
And I'm sure it's probably. I mean, a lot of guys
see,
they are booked, and
I've
it probably
said it.
helps. Not helps with confusion. I'm sure.
I've said it a lot in the past, but I never stuck to it and honored my personal integrity with it. I'd always like let shit slide through and be the people pleaser. And this time it was like, after quarantine and shit, I tried my best to like be a good boy and go fucking mountain biking and find new hobbies. And I found out that like, I like other shit too. And, I've got 2 kids that I'm raising. So just to give myself more of that time, plus I do love to travel and do conventions out of everybody at the shop. So it was like, I want to make sure I've got me time as well as like also doing fucking all the tattoos that I love to do. And it was just hard to like say it and keep it and like honor my word to myself with that. And I did. And it was almost kind of like I was chomping at the bit the whole time. Like, I just want to answer fucking some of these. I want to talk to somebody about it. And I was like, no, you told yourself this. So, I mean, I guess if anything, it was more of a test run, I guess, to see. But now I feel stupid. So probably not going to do that again.
I'm not gonna, my way of doing things certainly has some pitfalls, because I do, like, sometimes even when I'm not trying to, I can create clients that almost feel like they can get in with me anytime that they want. I've got one, even some current clients, they'll call up like within 24 hours demand to be tattooed. I'm like, well, that's just not possible. And like, even if, and I like try to explain the reality, like that my schedule really is demanding, and I will squeeze you in when I can. Yeah. But it's not always like, I mean, sometimes like, you know what, I'm gonna have an appointment tomorrow. I know that this particular person taps out in about 4 or 5 hours. So I could start your sleeve, but can you come in at 10 p.m.? And then that's how I'll work it. I'm like, if you can kind of work odd hours, early or late, I'll get you in. But it does create sometimes clients that like, if I can't get them in like right now, like like they immediately think, well, I'm jerking them around, or I'm
which fuck all
not
that
dealt with. And I don't know, maybe I'm getting it wrong, and maybe they're like that with everyone. Everybody has problem clients. But I do get my share of impatient clients.
Yeah, and fuck all that, man. That's why this is, I think he did it more for creating boundaries in his own life.
I totally understand.
Yeah, and putting some respect on it, especially so motherfuckers won't call him entitled. You know what I'm saying? Or like, man, we go way back. I've been your client for years. Like, now suddenly you owe them something.
But if I'm opened up down the street from you, I'm going to go like, yeah, he would say that. I'll do you tonight.
So with a schedule like that, what's sleep look like?
Man, I mean, I have a family too, so I try to juggle it all. I want it all. I mean, I don't know if it's possible, but I certainly think we're trying. And I hope that I also pass on a good work ethic to my kids, because it's what allows for them to have the life. And I think my dad had a good work ethic, and my grandparents did, and I sort of identify with them. So I don't ever want to like, I'm not sure like what a balance is. I mean, but I don't miss out on anything. I can, and maybe it's like me with social media, like when you're saying like I have to let people know so I can have boundaries, like I sort of have gotten to this point where my boundaries become like I just shut it off. I don't have to tell you I'm shutting it off.
That's right.
I guess maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm the one that's being arrogant about it. Maybe.
Well,
it's like, you know what? I don't even have to go online to tell you that I'm shutting you down. I'm just shutting it down. Yeah. You'll know when I'm back.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Yeah.
So speaking of family, I know. It's been years since when I saw your children. They were very little, but now I see that Devin is tattooing, correct?
Yes, and she's a monster.
She's really, really good, of course.
I'm so proud of her. She's so good. She's so much more disciplined than I am, I think, as an artist, for sure.
How old is she?
So. 25.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jeez.
I see her stuff popping up online all the time, and she's fantastic.
Yeah, I can't believe it. If we keep talking about it too long, I'm going to cry.
Man,
right. I literally think that last time I saw her, she was little. You know what I mean? So, and Marcus, is that right?
Marcus. Yep.
What's he doing?
And he's in sales and stuff. He can tattoo. He's done 3 tattoos. They all look like they could have been done by somebody professional.
Wow.
He has a gift, but it's just not
in the blood.
But it's not his thing.
Sure.
That's his sister's thing. I don't. He doesn't want any part of that. I've got 2 youngers, Eden and Aiden. They both have it. As they grow older, I'm maybe waiting to see which one it's going to maybe come this way. I certainly wouldn't push them to be a tattooist. I'd want them to choose. I think with my older daughter it was that way too. If I told her I wanted her to be a tattooist, she would have absolutely not did it.
Yeah,
So,
I'm keeping an eye on I've got a 17-year-old daughter. We were car shopping out all day, actually. I'm kind of keeping an eye. She wants to be a chef, but her backup plan is tattooing. So we'll see how that goes. She's an incredible artist, so she could absolutely tattoo.
Wow.
Yeah, I think at first my daughter, she was, as an artist, she was like, well, I don't really want to follow in the footsteps of anyone. And I think for a little while, even like having me as a dad and just be sort of more in the public eye as far as the tattoo world goes, what made her feel like maybe that was some area she didn't want to step in. But I mean, she's grown up like, sleeping on the couch of famous tattooers, or they're sleeping at our house, or like she's had breakfast with Jack Rudy. Like it's all, I guess she's spoiled in that way. But I think as she got older, she started to realize that she's her own person, and she doesn't, no one's going to judge her based on me. And in fact, I mean, I think she's going to blow me out of the water, really. So I'm the one that's got to worry about it, not her.
That's awesome.
Jeez, that's fucking great.
Yeah, it's been cool to watch just since I knew them so young. It's just been cool. Like when she popped up with this incredible work, I was like, holy shit. I immediately wrote her and I'm like, I know your dad,
What's her IG handle?
Devin, how does she spell it online? Devine tattoo?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I almost saw it like Divine. Yeah.
Is she at your Purdue shop?
She guest spots back and forth. She works at the Purdue shop, but she works for a friend of mine, Chris Taylor. No, that's not it. I'll find it.
I just realized we all have daughters.
Yeah, and my oldest actually wants.
I'll find it.
We also all have sons. Or
I do not.
I'm sorry.
I do not. Yeah. I'm in a house full of women.
Yeah.
Didn't you say even all your dogs were female even?
Yes.
Just outnumbered, man.
Man, my only break's at the tattoo shop.
That's why his books are closed.
Did you ever hang out with Tom Renshaw, Josh?
Do what?
Tom Renshaw.
Tom Renshaw, yeah. What about him?
I mean, he's also a tattoo god. He's
amazing.
I love me some Tom Renshaw. He's an awesome guy. He's like the Chuck Norris of tattooing. Really
that's such a good way to describe him.
He is the Chuck Norris. You were bringing up dogs like Chuck Norris, like Tom Renshaw. I went to his house and he like chops down trees and builds his house. It's like all built like like he's just a man's man. And his dogs have the biggest balls you've ever seen. like really, it'll make you blush. You're like hanging out. You're only going to take your wife over to hang out and dinner at his house because his dogs are going to come in and make everybody just feel self-conscious about themselves. I'm like, holy crap! What's with the dongs on your dogs, Tom? I'm like, are they brothers? And you're like, oh no. I'm like, did you go looking for them then? You're like, I got it. Well, are you on the phone with the breeder going like, who has the biggest dong?
Right.
That's the only kind of dog I can have in my house. I'm Chuck Norris. Yeah, hopefully he hears this.
Yeah, he's a good example of. I don't think he's on social media at all, and he was. He's just a phenomenal tattooer. I remember this gorilla he did. Just showed up at the conventions and just blew everybody's fucking mind. Big, oversized gorilla. It was amazing.
I actually, this is a good time to talk about it. Tom Renshaw is a guy that sort of took me on, along with Tony Olivas. Like early on, I was doing the shows and nobody really knew who I was, but I was doing back pieces. And I didn't really know anybody, so I felt uncomfortable talking to people just because I didn't know them. Right. I was sort of maybe a little more quiet back then. And Tony, both of those guys came to me and said, "Hey man, what's your deal? Like, everybody wants to know, are you some kind of an asshole? Like, are you not hanging out because you feel like you're better than us?" I'm like, no, because I'm absolutely terrified of you. So Tom Renshaw was one of the guys who took me. I was getting ready to give a seminar, and I'd never done this before. And he took me aside and he gave this speech to me. And I've passed this speech on to quite a few guys, but I call it the "What the fuck is your problem" speech. And Tom Renshaw gave me this speech up in the hotel room. And he's like, "Look, your work is extraordinary," and he saw something in me. He's like, people, they want to talk, they want to know you. They obviously are taken aback by what you're doing. You just need to own that. They want you to own it. What's there to be nervous about? I've translated that speech into a lot of guys coming up, even like a young tattooist coming up. I'll look at their work and go like, hey, your shading's extraordinary. You're a painter. You're painting like a professional, but when you pick up a needle, it's dog shit. So what's the problem? It comes down to this moment of realization where you're already better than you're ever going to be. You just need to prove it right now. Now. Does that make any sense to you?
Fuck yeah, it does.
Does anybody tell you what the fuck is your problem? Why aren't you the best in the world right now? Nico Hurtado. I got to give him this speech. I'm very
He
proud
told
of this
me
too.
the
I'm gonna
story.
drop a name right there.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd met him. I almost felt like Tom Renshaw was happy. It was like full circle had come. And I met this young man, and he was painting these portraits, and he just looked like a virtuoso. And I was doing the seminars, and he's like, "Well, man, I only got enough money to get tattooed, or take your seminar. What should I do?" I was like, "Well, you know what? We're just going to go back to the room, and I'm going to tattoo you, and we'll just talk about whatever you want to talk about." And I gave him the speech. What the fuck is your problem? Like, this is bullshit. Like your paintings aren't translating to the tattoos, and it's sad, right? And he got really fucking mad at me. I think he got so mad that I think we were at a convention in Jersey. He got so mad he spent the next night up all night tattooing this portrait of Jimi Hendrix. He came back with at the show, and I was like, "Oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
What have I done?
Yeah, right.
I just encouraged my replacement
Yeah.
to take over.
right.
Yeah, why? But that's again. I think that's what the Guardians are about.
Yeah, brother.
I think I'm starting to get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
I remember a specific artist that worked with us, and he was really good, but he didn't do a lot of realism. And then one day he did a portrait of Brandon Lee and just killed it. And you said, "You fucked up now." Because now you have to tattoo every tattoo like that. Yeah, he walked in and Mark's like, "You fucked up now," and he's like, "What?" Like no idea. And he's like, "Now you have to tattoo. Now that we know you're that good, every tattoo better look like that."
Man.
Does it feel like things have gotten harder for you? I'm more nervous now when I'm doing a tattoo than I ever was.
Oh yeah, totally.
Probably. I think it's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's been 30 years, and I'm still like, I'll be teaching a seminar, and I'll kind of joke about that, like, "Oh, I was thinking about this all night." And they're like, "Oh, Josh Carlton's stressed out about tattooing." It's like, no, motherfuckers, I fucking am.
Yeah, every single time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to play the role of indifference just because, like, you guys have got your styles and have found them and been concrete in them, and I'm still like wandering around in this pond trying to find my place.
Sure.
So I get the whole, like, always kept on the edge of your seat, 10 toes down at all times, like always be looking over your back because, like, there's 30 more motherfuckers out there coming.
Yeah, there's somebody that you haven't even heard of that's not even on Instagram that's just killing it in his fucking mom's
That
basement.
may or may not have been inspired by you.
Man.
Yeah, you
They,
never know, man.
you may have inspired them, and they are taking it so seriously that you're not ready for that. Yeah.
Man.
Fuck yeah.
That's
Me
powerful.
and you were just talking about that on the, one of the earlier podcasts. You know, there could be
exactly.
somebody out there looking at my work, which is, just honoring, mind-blowing.
I mean, probably not. Probably not.
Right. But it's fun. It's fun to think. Damn it! Let me have my moment. It's my birthday.
Happy
got-
birthday, man.
It was sort of like a fact check. It was like a live fact check.
Watch one day someone's gonna show up and they'll be like, "I was that kid."
I was that kid. That's right. That's right. Yeah, like my dad always says, never let facts ruin a good story.
Right.
Powerful
Hell yeah, man!
stuff.
It's been awesome having you, Mark. It's been great to see you again, and I definitely will take you up on that dinner when I'm out visiting.
For sure. Done.
Yeah.
That's done.
You know, when
I'm
you said
excited to come back home.
you've passed that story along to so many dudes, you know, Nico's was a great story. How many of, and obviously,
And I did actually, I think when we talked, I get to brag about this too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you talk to him, you can ask to see it. It's pretty old now, but I did half of his leg. I just free-handed this great big huge heavy metal looking skull, like just this wretched skull. I didn't use any pins or nothing like that because I knew I was dealing with like a really good artist. I was trying to impress him too. Like, watch,
Right.
I'm gonna move the bar. I'm not even gonna pin anything on you. You trust me?
Yeah.
You just gave me your $1,000. You trust me?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was one of those. It was a magical moment. I mean, really, I think about it right now. Like, I think I'm humbled by it. Really, yeah. Because I mean, look at what he's gone on to become. He's he's cleaned all of our clocks a couple of times. For sure. We're all inspired. We're all inspired by Nico.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Love it, man. Love it. Yeah, I was going to ask how many of those stories didn't, that artist wasn't able to receive it. It didn't change their life. They were too soft or whatever when you gave them the what the fuck story.
There's probably those two.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it rubbed somebody the wrong way.
Yeah.
For sure. But I've gotten to meet lots of wonderful artists that like even in the early parts of their career, like you have no idea, and you better be nice to everybody. Try to be nice to everybody because you don't know who they're going to end up being.
Right.
Yeah, another guy, a very good friend of mine, I love to hang out with, Bob Tyrell.
Yeah.
I got lots of Bob Tyrell stories. I knew Bob when he wasn't a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and really, he kind of came up looking at that, like, you know, kind of all during the time we're talking about, Josh.
Yeah.
You know, he was doing the shows, getting tattooed by Paul Booth, and then like something snapped with him, something clicked. You know, he sort of started the second half of his life doing this tattoo thing. He wasn't born into it like some of us sort of were.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started in his like mid-30s, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. He's also somebody I like. If I can get him in a crowded room, I will make him tell everybody that I'm the fucking tattoo god.
Yeah.
You know who the tattoo god is? I make him fucking do it. Yeah. Nice. I love you, Bob.
That's awesome. So your podcast is something on the agenda?
It is. I've got lots of stuff recorded, but
Okay.
I'm getting my craziness. I'm putting my craziness on it. I had to put the brakes on it for a minute.
Okay.
I think I was going to cancel myself, so I had to
Okay, yeah.
I had to dial that back and retool everything.
edit.
You know, I think it's going to be better for that. I have no regrets about that.
It's good, man. It's good.
The Tattoo God Cast. Be on the lookout for that.
Fuck yes.
Awesome.
Good
Love
name,
it.
too. Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
And again, all our listeners will put a link to that holy water below, so make sure you click on that. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I'm interested in trying it myself for sure, so check it out.
I will send you a brand new sexy box.
Nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I noticed even the bottle's cool. I was immediately like, oh, that's like reminds me of Prince. And I was like, of course that's Saint Marq.
That's right.
Isn't there a picture floating around here somewhere of Mark in like a fur coat getting out of a fucking Ferrari or some shit?
Oh, probably.
I'm sure, yeah. Definitely some fur
good.
coat pictures of Mark floating around.
Man, I see pictures all the time of like Doc Dog, you know, Tony Baker. Like he's like tooling around the country wearing his fur coat. I'm like, that guy is fucking awesome. I didn't even know he's like my spirit animal.
Do you remember him?
Doc Dog is my spirit animal.
The dude in Vegas.
Yeah, when I put that show on in Vegas with the belt, Doc Dog was one of our. We honored him, and he was one of our judges, and he was, you know, drinking the whole time and just like. Just this badass, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a badass.
I got on stage and I was like, we need more Doc Dogs in this fucking tattoo world, you know?
Man.
Yeah, Gil Monty, Doc Dog. We
Yeah.
need more of those guys.
Yeah.
I actually Gil Monty. He's another real great that we got to show some respect to. I talked to him about coming out to my shop and doing a seminar. I asked him what he would do the seminar about, and this is perfect. He said, I would do it about respect.
Nice.
I think we should hold him to that. It's been quite a few years, but I think
Yeah.
that if anybody can teach a tattoo with some respect, it would be Gil Monty.
For sure.
I
remember
mean,
him.
Doc Dog, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I remember Gil Monty doing these just oversized skulls and just everything, you know?
Yeah, and he was a rock star way before us. He's been
Way
in
before.
Playboy. He's a movie
Yeah.
star.
He's been in
Crying out
tons of
loud.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, you know those movies you see where a prisoner kills another prisoner? He's one of them.
Man. That's
right.
Jeez. It's fucking awesome, man. So good. Well, what's if you don't mind giving some of our listeners what's on the agenda in the future for you, where you're at right now, where you're going? We know you got holy water. It's on Amazon, right?
I mean, you can go through suppliers, Electrum,
Yeah.
Ultimate Tattoo
Okay.
Supply, trying to like Brenda FYT carries their products,
and
Razor Blade, Helios.
Okay.
You can also find it on Amazon too.
And we know we're going to be looking out for the Godcast. Other than those two things you've shared, what else is on the horizon for you, or other things that you know you want to?
Well, I think at this point, I mean, like my shop's doing really well. I have a partner, Erica,
Okay.
Erica Bales,
Okay.
Erica McKinney. If you want to check her out, she's also a badass.
Okay.
But my kids are all growing up, so I'm sort of doubling down on what's going really well, which is which is my shop, the products. We definitely want to expand into other products. I don't really want to grow into like a supply company with like 100 things that I'm not real good at. So we're going to keep it to like fewer things, better packaging, better products, and kind of see where that takes us.
Nice. Love it, man. Love it.
What machines you run with?
Man, I started using a rotary about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm using Cheyenne stuff for pretty much the whole period.
Nice.
I like the Cheyenne stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Do you have the newer, was it the Sol Nova? Is that what it is? Where you can like turn it sideways and it turns up and down and shit?
I don't have one of those. A lot of the guys have switched over to the wireless, and I want to go wireless, but I have this personal hang up about not having a foot switch. And I know they're actually a Stigma, which I really love Stigma machines. They have a wireless that's Bluetooth to a foot switch, and it's available now. Not like they actually have it. I think it's a safety concern for me because I like that needle to stop if a customer moves or if I drop it. Anything happens, it makes me feel nervous.
Fun little dots all over your hands.
I've never accidentally stuck myself or somebody else. Yeah, I want to keep that record going. So they scare me. I'm like, well, this could just drop out of my hand.
Yeah, right.
And to have these little scribbly lines on my knee. Yeah.
So ink machines over in Sweden, they actually got a Bluetooth foot
Do they?
pedal. Yep.
Yeah, I'm interested because I'd said if somebody comes up with a good machine that's got a Bluetooth foot switch, I'm there. Yeah. And I've gotten used to the cartridges. Do you like the cartridges?
I love them. Yeah, I used to talk so much shit about I was like loyal to the coil and all that shit. I was wrong.
Yeah.
It's like I love my rotary machines.
And I want to know how to do it all. I sort of had to relearn a bit. I'm still relearning a bit. I'm not quite back to where I was with coils, but I'm working on it. Maybe it's given my career new life for sure.
Yeah, there's certain things that coils would definitely offer, especially in the style that you work in. I can see that with being a little more difficult. But there's also things rotaries do that are so well. For me, I can pack black in better than ever.
Yes.
Just like solid fields of color and stuff,
Yeah, good healing times. I'm a little slower with rotaries. I'm just a little slower. Yeah.
Well, even Bob, speaking of Bob Tyrrell, he finally came around to it. And,
finally.
Also Cheyenne, and he's like, I fucking love this thing, Yeah.
But he works really slow anyway.
Really slow, yeah.
Yeah.
I love you, Bob.
Yeah. It's funny, Cheyenne came out with that 10-year anniversary of the OG Hawk machine, and Bob was raising money for another brother in the industry and had one of those machines to give away. And of course, I guess I was the highest giver, and so Bob sent me that 10-year anniversary and wrote me a nice note and stuff, which was real cool.
That's awesome.
Have you seen them have you tried the new 45 mags that just came out from Kingpin?
No.
They're fucking fun.
I've used them back in the day, but not with the rotary.
Yeah, they got the cartridges now. Yeah, I think it's only Kingpin. I've used them quite a bit. They have the 35s and the 45s. And
you like them? You like them?
Slight little curve to them. Nice.
Yes.
I'll definitely try.
Yeah. Do you use curved mags or flat still?
I used to think curved mags were for pussies only.
Okay.
But I changed my mind.
Okay.
Actually,
exact same here.
Once I started working with rotaries, there's things where it definitely there's some tricks you can do with a rotary that you may not want to use a flat mag, but I just use both now.
Okay.
So, yeah. Cool. I'll have like 15 cartridges out when I'm doing a tattoo sometimes. So.
Isn't that a blessing? Well, that's the biggest thing I love.
Maybe I'll use half of them, but I just like having them there.
Yeah. It's better than setting up 15 coils.
You can't really. I don't know if you you can tune a rotary, and part of it has to do with the cartridge. I use like three different brands of cartridges because they make the machine run differently. I can't change my spring. I can't do all the things I might normally do to my coil. But I can change the cartridge I'm working with.
Yeah, and you got the different tensions on the cartridges, which definitely react to the machine for sure.
Man, I've sometimes cut a little rubber piece and dropped it in. Like the first machine I did it with was the Edge X from FK. And I would drop a little rubber piece in there and then put the cartridge in over it, and it would add like a little bit of bouncy give.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm going to claim. Yeah, I'm going to claim this idea, but it would be nice. I guess once I say it on here, nobody can steal my idea. But if we'd have a machine that was Bluetooth capable, to where each time you pressed on the power, you could make it sound like whatever you want. It could be like to your speaker. It could be a Harley Davidson. It could be farts if you want it to be. Whatever it is, it could be classical music every time you press on the foot switch. Right? That's a great idea. Or it could just be a really loud machine sound if you want.
That's right.
You could be like an old Jonesy. It could be whatever. See, I think we're onto something.
You could have a game where you got to like you said, an old Jonesy. Which machine is it? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. You could buy
I remember this game show. I always had this idea for a game show. Can you smell what the Rock is cooking? Do you remember when he used to say that? You're on the other side of the wall, the Rock is cooking something, and you guys have to see if you can win what it is. You know what I mean? So it'd be the same thing. That sounds like a Jonesy circa, the date and everything. Perfect.
I think this has gone pretty good.
Yeah, man. We're so
How are the other shows?
How are the other ones?
How do I stack up?
See, I was so tempted to be like, dude, you fucking blown it compared to you gotta come back.
We always said there'd be that one episode that we wouldn't air, and I think we just did it tonight. That's
Right. Yeah. Or Mike's got a shitload of editing to do.
You into cryptocurrency at all?
Not really.
No.
Sort of seems like I mean, I like roulette and everything, but
Right.
not my bag.
Right.
Yeah,
Speaking of roulette, there was a Doc Dog at the championships after he was getting shit faced down at the electric roulette table that that does it. There's no fucking dude there taking your money, and he got super fucking pissed off and punched some glasses over and shit. It was pretty cool to watch.
Right.
Damn.
He showed up to the show like all calm and everything, and like as the days went on, he just got like rougher and tougher. It was pretty funny to watch.
Yep.
I was like he was trying to judge a tattoo, and he needed to like put his entry in because we were doing it on an iPad, and I was like, hey, can you come over here? And he's like, I'll do it when I fucking want. I was like, yes, you will. Yes, you will, dog.
Jeez, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. How many folks at your shop right now?
We got a couple apprentices, so 12 right now.
Nice.
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty happy with my team of guys. They get along for the most part pretty good. And they drive each other right now, and everybody's doing well, so I'm proud of them. Yeah.
Good, man.
Nice.
So if you're in the Purdue area, stop by and check out our super sweet, luxurious tattoo mansion.
Man,
It's pretty awesome.
I want to come
Hell yeah.
visit. We should drive over there.
Actually, I just recently added. Maybe you should do this too. You might like this.
Okay.
I started collecting like luxury massage chairs. I did say I was 51, so like my body's like maybe not what it used to be. So like massage really helps out on my back. Like your arms, your hands, and stuff working all day.
Yeah.
I decided I got one at my house. We put one in the shop for the guys. They work a long day. They can go to like have a little massage session.
I like
a little secluded room and a chair that just works you over.
Oh, you mean like an electric? Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like you lay on it and it hooks you up.
It does everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of butt stuff.
Nice. I like
Yeah.
butt stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm having like an inappropriate relationship with my massage chair.
I love it.
Yeah.
So,
You can all be
what's
wiped down.
On a normal day. What's your hours like in the skin? Are you still like knocking out fucking?
I try to. I probably can't work as consecutive days as I used to be able to, but I still knock down 10 hour sessions, when I can, or if they're less, I'll try to like throw in some walk-ins on the end of that night. But if there's tattoos to be done, I try to like be there to do them.
Yeah, Mark was talking about like starting someone's sleeve at 10 o'clock. Like that shit really happened all the time. Like I said, we tattoo all day long, and it wasn't uncommon. Monty was the same way to start this giant chest piece at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. It was pretty cool. The work ethic was very, you could just tell there was just an absolute love for tattooing.
Do you remember when we were in France, over at the Stéphane show, like a lot of the Europeans, like when everything closed down, they were noticing that the Americans were the ones that were tattooing. Like we even go to the bars. Like a lot of the Europeans, they were done tattooing early, had their stuff packed up. They were at the bar, ready to have fellowship and have a good time.
Yeah.
And then like back at Stéphane's shop, like every artist that was like working after until 3-4 in the morning, all Americans.
Yeah.
And the talk of the show is like the Americans are robots.
Man.
They're tattoo robots. Like and they were all like, why do you do this to yourself?
Yeah.
But but they watched on and awe. I'm like, well,
That's right.
I think that's a compliment.
It is, dude. It is.
Tattoo God bless America.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Hell yeah. Good shit, man. Yeah, that's good shit. I used to go 80, 100 hours a week too, 16, 18. The longest session I ever did was over 42 hours. I timed it. It was like 42 hours and 7 minutes, a straight.
Sometimes that's the only
session.
that's the only way you're going to get there.
Man.
That's the path for that tattoo.
Yeah.
It had to happen that way.
Yeah. It was a submariner came in. That's all the time he had, and we just went and broke records, man.
Wow.
Yep. It was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, but you need stuff like holy water to get through those.
See?
For real.
Yeah.
I always
Now available at aisle 9.
Yeah, man. I love longer sessions, and that's all we do. Usually, we work with one client a day, and go with them all day.
That's kind of how I work, but
Yeah.
there's always room for something else. I don't like to shut it off and not allow it to happen.
Yeah, I like that. I appreciate that.
Do you
man.
prefer color or black and gray, or does it matter to you?
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I feel like you've always you were always been an example of, I always say, like, you can't really be a master at both, but I always bring you up. I say, hey, a few people can, you know what I mean? Because specifically, like, I can see somebody looking at your black and gray, like the wall, and maybe assuming you wouldn't be able to pack color because it's such a soft piece, but then you think of the Toy Story leg piece and it's just absolute saturation. Not everybody can do that, actually. Not many people can do that, so.
And that unique ink, it still looks good.
Oh, yeah.
It still looks good. Did you ever use any of that
unique
stuff?
ink.
Oh, yeah.
That was the secret sauce back then, for sure.
Wow.
It's like
think
made out
you,
of
like, had to-
plastic.
Damn.
And you couldn't
Some
just
sort
buy
of
it. Like, you kind of had to
magical.
know. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah,
like,
there was
know the
like,
guy.
you had to, there was like a password to buy it and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. Damn. Are they all dead now? I'm just playing.
Yeah, you probably never even heard of that, huh, Hip?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, literally, like, I remember I rented a shop that somebody had owned before, and they had left the phone number for Unique Ink on, like, a cabinet. And I was like, holy fuck, there it is. There's, this is the secret. Because it was like Aaron Kane was using it, like Eddie Deutsch, nobody, you had to know somebody kind of thing. I think
Guy
I wanna say it
Atchison.
was Guy Atchison, yeah. I think it might have been, another name was it called Fairweather as well?
Well,
Like,
Phil
Phil
Fairweather.
Fairweather. That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So,
it was-
what a lot of the colors we use today are sort of like little branches or little pieces that are still left off from that. I remember that same story. My story is at the time coming from Ohio. Derb Morrison.
Yeah.
We were all friends. He started tattooing around the same time, and we were all like trying to get the phone number to the sink, and we all like made a pact with each other. Derb too, like if any one of us like gets a hold of the sink, we will share it with the others.
Yeah.
And it was Derb out of our little group.
Yeah.
He called up and was like, "Hey, I got the number.
Damn.
I got the password." We're like, holy shit. We're like, we're about to rain down color tattoos on these bikers. They're not going to know what hit them. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, there wasn't anything like it. You couldn't just, get on Instagram or whatever and order something, and it was like no ink was as bright and thick and solid. It was fucking amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen tattoos even now, like 20, 30 years later.
Yeah.
Like even the yellows, the greens,
Yeah.
even
Where'd it
they're
go?
still there. It's still there.
What happened to it? Where'd it go?
It broke up into a bunch of little pieces. Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Plastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, listening to that, it just I'm grateful for, one, not to have the struggle, but at the same time, just like the Americana of it. I'm like, I kind of wish that like I was there in that moment and like had to fucking know a dude that knew a dude.
Yeah, and even then, like tattoo suppliers, if they advertised in magazines, they would be boycotted. No one would buy.
Totally.
They didn't even like it advertised. Do you? I remember that.
Yeah.
Easily.
Wow.
Yeah, Huck Spalding was one of the only ones, and they hated him. Hated him.
Fucking hated him. Yeah. I remember when I put my book out, I was fucking terrified I'd be blackballed from the tattoo industry. You know what I mean? And I definitely got a lot of hate mail.
Yeah,
But it
I
came
bet.
around. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
talking to like Philadelphia Eddie. I was like smoking a joint with Philadelphia Eddie up in his room. Like, hey, you gotta smoke a joint. I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna turn that down. So I'm
Right.
like, and he started talking about death lists. I feel like I learned like real man things from Philadelphia Eddie. He's like, every man's gotta have a death list. I'm like, what's a death list? And he says, well, it's when a fella, if you're gonna catch a case or you come down with like a terminal disease, there's a list of guys you gotta take out. And he's telling me about his death list. Yeah, Huck Spalding was on his death list. Yeah.
And I guarantee you he's telling Mark this story with the fucking screwdriver in each hand, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And he would just
Always.
get joints. He'd just get a cigarette pack out and start smoking a joint like right by the lobby and the front desk of the hotel we're at.
Yeah.
And like nobody's saying shit to him. Yeah.
It's awesome, man. Jeez.
So like on the color tip, what do you think about like the petitions and all the what is that blue fucking 12 or green 7 or whatever they are. They're trying to cancel it.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what I feel about it. I've heard this story so many times over the past few decades. I'm not really sure if it's a thing.
Over decades.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a new subject. It seems like it's just the same thing gets rehashed over and over again.
Okay.
Yeah. So I honestly, I'm not that well versed on the current situation. I just know it sounds very familiar.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, hell yeah, Mark. It's definitely been awesome having you.
Thank you. I'd love to do this anytime you guys want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say I would love to have you back on, man. I'm really excited because I'm going to be out here for my birthday, and I'm going to be doing my first live podcast with you guys as well. So I'm super fucking excited about that. I'm going to try to get as many like visits in as possible. I'm stoked. I'm tattooing hip while I'm out there. I actually had to be careful because I was like, I'm just going to book myself up, and Nikki's like,
Fuck that.
don't do that on your vacation. You know
No
what I mean?
kid.
No.
So only you, Hip.
Man, what an honor, dude.
Yeah.
I kind of felt bad after I put that out there just because I was so geeked. Like, fuck yeah, you're coming? Okay, I want a tattoo.
No, it'll be awesome for sure.
I'm glad I didn't overstep my bounds. But, hey, since we're on that note, is it cool if maybe one of those days I can be on a fly on the wall when you guys are in person, like hanging out? I can just fangirl in the back.
If you're lucky, maybe Mark will let you come to dinner with us.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah,
do that.
I'll pay. I'll
You guys
pay
gonna
for
keep
both
being
you
nice
guys.
to me and
dinner.
inviting me to stuff?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you're in.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Man. You know, one thing Brenner said about you, which out of many things, was that you had an uncanny ability to make anyone believe in themselves. That you could
Well, that's
make
an awfully nice thing for him to say.
Yeah, that you could make anyone believe, you know, if like they
I
want to
mean, maybe
shoot for
that's
the
not what
moon.
we're talking about. I think about like maybe just not being a shop owner, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
You are a mentor,
Yeah, that's right.
whether you like it or not. You're in
Yeah.
that position. So I guess that comes down to like you're a shitty one, or you realize that's what you are, and you try to be good at it.
Come on.
You try.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But that's awesome. I mean, I appreciate that he would say that, but I mean,
Yeah. Well, and it's true, and he took that on because he turned around and has done it for so many,
yes,
including
he has.
me.
Yeah, he's trained lots of good guys.
Yep.
I always think I had a knack for sniffing out some talent.
Yeah.
You know, and that seems to have worked out. I don't know if I'm just lucky or if it has anything to do with me, but here we are.
Yep. I think both, man. And you did it for him. He did it for me. I've turned around. I do it for others.
And it was done for
so-
me, like
Yeah.
I'd mentioned. Yeah, completely.
Yeah. It's so good, man. So I just, you know, from even a third or generation from you, whatever the case may be, a tattooer, I just want to personally thank you for everything you've done for our industry, everything you've given, pioneered.
Well, I appreciate you, man. I love you
man.
guys. I love all
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, brother, we love you too, man.
Fuck
Got
yeah.
mad respect for
Fuck
you.
yeah.
And a little of what we wanted to bring out tonight is for all the listeners who didn't even know, you know, you can trace back so many things for whether it's techniques or whatever, and you're attributed to serving our whole industry from your table, a lot of it. And I just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hell
man.
yeah, absolutely.
Big time.
Absolutely.
And thanks for coming tonight, folks. I mean, he drove over 2 hours to come sit at the table with
Yeah.
us tonight. That's fucking huge, man. We appreciate that shit, man.
Big time.
Yeah. So if
See,
we
I was
just-
imagining it'd be like the halls of justice. You can feel it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this whole place gets set on. He sets it on fire. Fucking burns
When
this
he's leaving, he's
motherfucker
just like,
down. Yeah. How do we stop recording? He's like, guys, so about that death list, you know? Just like-
It's cool. We just put it out with fucking holy water.
Right.
Yeah,
I walk around
yeah.
the shop just blessing. I just bless the
There
shop
you
with it
go.
every day. when I walk
Hell
in.
yeah. Fuck
yeah.
yeah. Good shit, man.
Awesome. Well, I think that was another awesome episode, guys. And thanks everybody for joining us.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week.